most exciting TV station, of course, you're still watching the Morning Rave, and my name is Victor. Okay, before we went on that break, we talked about the fact that we're going to be talking about the federal government's plan on imports of food items, and of course, the effect that it has on indigenous farmers and agri sector. And just some background to the story and to remind us as well. Recall that on July 8, 2024, the Nigerian federal government announced plans to import food items. The initiative aims to address the severe food crisis driven by over 40% food inflation and a deepening hunger situation in the country. But the government introduced a 150-day free import window for essential food commodities such as maize, husked brown rice, wheat, and cowpeas. And this suspension of duties, tariffs, and taxes is also intended to make these staples more affordable for consumers and stabilize food prices right here in the country, Nigeria. I recall that sometimes this year, prices of food items in the market were excessively expensive. And right here on this platform, when we had a few conversations, I remember Dr. Champion saying that even the common man's food can no longer be afforded, which of course is Gary. You know, the little thing that we could buy without sweating or breaking the bank they became so expensive in the market. Well, today we have Segun Ogunlana, the founder, Ijibu Market, Agent Time, and Kanako, who's going to be giving us some insights. I want to talk about the effect that the plan that the federal government has to import food items into the country has on indigenous farmers and agri sector. Good morning to you, Segun.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Good morning, Segun.
Morning.
The sophisticated farmer, Gen Z farmer.
Well, we just thank God for everything. We just thank God for everything.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
If farming makes someone look this fresh, I think everyone should get into farming. You know.
we are very heavy on the supply chain. So yeah, because another thing also is that some of the things that makes food expensive also is the inefficient supply chain from the farmlands, how it gets to the collection points, the roads. There are places in the country where at this point of the year, they have to bring the food via boats because the places are not motorable. So it's so much inefficiency that adds to cost. Exactly. So that's
and talking about this inefficiency, now that we began the conversation, let me take your mind back to when a bucket of tomato was around 150,000 naira.
Yes.
And now the price has reduced drastically.
Yeah.
Would you say that it was the inefficiency that caused the hike in that price?
I think partly that also, the inefficiency, because you see, the thing is, I always tell people that, okay, we're talking about agriculture. Are we balancing cash crops and food crops? That's one thing again. Cash crops, one. Food crops, two. What quantity of food crops should we produce? Now, I remember some times ago when we were around 2020, 2021, when we were still heavy in the retail sides also of bringing some of these food crops to the States. Someone contacted us and said, look, you guys, you sold me tomatoes at this price. And at Mile 12, it was this price.
Yeah.
Why is your price so distant? I said, ma, if I should tell you what is happening there, you are actually benefiting from people's sorrows, and you don't know. You're like, oh. I said, let me explain. You see, for example, that market there, when a truck enters the market, you the person that brings the truck can't sell what you bring into the market. It has to be sold by the market there.
Okay.
So it's demand and supply, which means once your truck is there and there's no other truck that is coming in, they can't. Your price probably you bring it in at 5,000 naira per basket, just example, and you're selling it 6,000 naira to make a profit of 1,000 naira per basket. They will keep selling, but once another 1 or 2 trucks comes in, your price will actually have to go down, probably like 3,000 or 4,000 naira.
Okay.
So that's why you see sometimes some people will tell you the price they met in the morning is different from the price they met in the afternoon or the evening because there's another truck that is waiting. So they have to really sell off your own so that another one. So those dynamics actually teaches away people that are supposed to invest into the whole thing because there's also no proper storage structure.
Okay.
These are infrastructure things and everything. So those are some of the things that affects the price. That is why you'll be surprised that there are times when food is also cheaper in Mount 12 than up north that it comes from.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of waste happens, a lot of, and this, although they've actually been a whole lot of effort from the government, even international organizations, the World Bank, UN, IFDC, and everything that, post-harvest. That's why you're seeing some of this, when these tomatoes come, they will come in crates as compared to the regular kind of baskets that spoils on the way. So that.
Okay, let's look at food security in general. I mean, this has
Yeah.
really been a topical conversation. We all know what the prices of things are in the market. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you're a farmer, so you're hands-on, and you're part of that extensive value chain as
Yeah.
well. So, I mean, we have shortage, or I mean, we can't find basic food, staple food to eat. You know, we can't find it at the affordable price we used to have before.
Okay.
It's quite unfortunate that we have, Nigeria used to be, you know, an agric, you know, entity where we had all these things we used to produce and even export some of these, mainly before we found oil and all of that. And right now, I mean, it appears this administration is also focused, like I say, it appears on food security. The Minister for Agriculture, Kyari has talked about, I mean, sometime this month, he said, you know, we are going to be opening up the borders for importing some staple foods, you know, so that we can have more supply and bringing down prices as well, you know, so that at least these things can go round. People can begin to eat. Let's not speak too much English. People can begin to eat food. But farmers were not happy about this development. According to them, they felt, look, this would hamper their own effort and, of course, affect their business economically and, of course, their profitability. You know, this would put a dent on what they are trying to do right there. So I want you to talk about, you know, what is the condition of food security in Nigeria right now? As a farmer, you are hands-on, you go out there. Why are we not able, first of all, to cultivate and to have enough food to eat in this country that has a lot of, you know, such resource? You understand? And then secondly, what is the effect or impact of these open border, you know, open sesame, as it were, even though it's for a limited period of time, you know, on food production?
Okay. Well, at least when I first got that news, I'm as it is now, so as to avoid amisinformation. Anytime there's a news, I always ask, please, can I have access to the right memo? So when you told me the border was going to be open, I said, well, and also 150 days. As it is now, it won't be 150 days again, maybe 130 days or 120 days. And the government is actually strategic to protect the I believe that they are strategic in the sense that harvest will start happening around, some harvests are already coming out now, but October, November, December, so that once those people are now harvesting, they can still meet good prices to make returns on their business. So that's probably why there's that days. So the government is also trying to protect the interest of the local farmers, I believe, by giving those number of days. Secondly, you see, this thing that we're actually facing in agriculture, first things we need to know is, one, Nigeria, we practice a whole lot of rain-fed agriculture, which is why when you're in the city like Lagos, by the time you start seeing that you're in the month of February, March, the Shehu, the Musa, this thing that comes around that does the physical work and the laborious work in Lagos, or the security work will tell you, Madam or Megida, I'm going back to, they want to go and farm and everything because the rain is coming. So it's rain-fed agriculture that we practice. So that's two, which means agriculture doesn't need the rain, it needs water.
Okay.
So if you find a way to, you can cycle throughout it. That's why you have people that are building greenhouses and everything. They can control all the conditions needed for agriculture. Now, as the country is, you remember in 2022 when there was that flood, like the dam?
Yeah.
Now we are not getting to some of our problems. That flood displaced millions of people, affected several farmlands. Many farmers were not able to recoup their investment. So imagine you are doing a design for a customer, and when you're doing your final stage, the system just packs up and everything. Look how it feels. That's how it was for the farmers then. So many of them were not able to recoup the investment into that. That was 2022. Then, I think around the end of that 2022, some of the major, in as much as there was import this thing, the CBN and this thing allowed some 4 top users of maize in the country to import. They give them that waiver to be able to import because of local demand and everything. That was one. Now, end of 2022, early 2023, maybe we've also forgotten again. These farmers also went through the issues of cash, when we're buying cash for cash and everything. So when you are looking at the country now that we are struggling with food, it is not what happens this month, last month, 4 months ago. No, it's what happened early last year. So whatever has happened the beginning of this year to this period, as a consensus food, we need to start looking at it next year. And the new government came in around May, before the ministers, before this thing. So there's nothing, so the party was
There's
already
really
over.
nothing on the ground.
Because
Okay.
March, April, May, that the people planned and every other thing it's already gone. So it's partly maybe dry season farming and every other thing. So there's the limitation. So, and we need to be honest to ourselves, we are not producing enough. Now, the beauty of our currency being so devalued is that it makes our food affordable for the people outside. So I looked at around March, April, May, when we're getting some of this sorghum, maize, soya bean for some of the key manufacturers, so some manufacturers and everything. And we were struggling to buy because when we want to buy in some villages and everything, our people will go there with scale, with tester to check and everything. And someone is coming with the CFA because people are also coming from other countries to buy. In fact, they're coming from other countries to buy, and the CFA is exchanging more. So it's like you saying you wake up this morning, you want to go with 1,200 naira to go and buy maybe a cup of something. The person is coming with this thing, but it now moves from 1,200 to 1,500. He's just
So they prefer to sell.
So it suddenly has a higher buying power.
Oh, yeah.
So the thing is, if we could just only have so much abundance of the food, which means we've produced so much, we would easily have enough to feed the local market and the internationals that are buying.
Okay.
So it will really work well for the country. But just know that people are really coming to buy, and the currency also exchange from the neighboring countries. Yeah.
So, let's talk about policy and implementation.
Yeah.
Right. The government mentioned that they'll be setting a recommended retail price for imported commodities. Now, how effective do you think this would be in ensuring affordability and fairness, of course, in the market?
I think, well, you see, we can't say, but it's 50-50 in the sense that, some of all these prices that we also see, demand and supply is artificial, and there's something that I just see as a passive arrogance in what we buy from in some places, in the sense of the people that sell to us. I remember just 2 weeks ago, a certain manufacturer needed some supplies to some maize to move from Kaduna to Maiduguri. And we've discussed with these people the day prior, okay, we are buying these things at 813,000 naira per ton. You say, okay, Megida Badamuwa, no problem. That's to the following day we'll run the whole thing. And the following day, our people got hungry and let us now move it and say, no, the price now is 845,000 naira per ton. Wow. Now, the same set of persons just got in touch with me. Also, they just notified me in the office that, Mr. Shegun, sir, they said that the maize now is down to 780. Why didn't you sell to us in the first place? So the thing is, and there are times when some people, of course, you can't blame it. They also want to make the best value for their own produce and everything.
Were there factors that affected the price at the time?
No, the thing is, once they see that people are really coming, they will jack up their price.
So it's the high demand of it.
High demand, minimal supply. We are not producing enough. That sums everything. So, and when we even say we want to start producing enough, it is not enough for maybe 220 million people. No, it is enough for probably maybe 300 million people, because people are coming from neighboring countries. You see, a whole lot of dynamics happens from the east into Cameroon.
Okay.
Even a place called Mubi in Adamawa into Cameroon. Then, okay, like all those things that move through Baga from Bono, that moves to other African countries. Then all this Sokoto, Lela goes. We recently had order from Senegal for onions that we have to move from Sokoto. Although there were some dynamics of how things will move across the West Africa, which is a different thing also. Okay. So when we look at the saying food is not enough, no. And there are also food items that move from those other countries into our country also. Paddy rice, because, for example, now paddy rice will also, some of the farmers who need all these things from Cameroon, they bring this thing in, and in the entire northeast, which is, I think, Adamawa, Taraba, Borno, Yobe, I don't think there's any fertilizer company. So they have to come in, they will sell, then they use to buy some of the inputs that they need back into their So that's just it.
You talked about, I mean, you continue to reiterate the issue of production. We're
Yes.
not producing, we're not
We're not
producing.
producing.
Simple language, Shegun, what do we do? What actually is the problem? You know, we've heard of insecurity.
Yeah.
How well has that impacted farming also? Also, the issue of storage. Do we have enough, you know, I mean, we do have enough sophisticated equipment and storage houses to store some of these agricultural produce when they come out of the farm? Because we hear a lot of wastages. In fact, sometimes you hear that these things are available, but they're not able to preserve them, and so they waste, you know, at the end of the day, you know. So wherein lies the problem, you know? Is it just the production? You know, and then how well can we deal with that issue of production? Because we keep hearing production. What is really affecting it? The roads, the insecurity. What really, and how can we get out of this? You know,
why is there a problem? I get asked. There's a problem everywhere. There's a problem everywhere.
Okay.
Let us start even from the soil. Also, because some places also people have farmed anyhow, and you know, there are also these debates of using fertilizer and everything on the soil, the impact on the soil, and probably the soil depending on it over time. And people asking the questions, but our ancestors have been farming for several centuries. Why is it that it's the farming we just did in the last 5 or in the last 50 years that have made all these things? What were they doing right that we're not doing correctly? So now the soil management, soil this thing. So there are several concerns because of how dynamics have actually changed. You know, back, at least good enough, we still have the New Yam Festival and everything, where traditionally it is when the yam has already officially been roasted in the old festival setting that people can now start selling. Those were control measures. There were also control measures in planting, which means the communities themselves, be it the priest, be it the kings or whatever it is, there's already a method that they use that they release, okay, this is the right time for you to go and plant and everything. So those things, traditional measures. I had someone that called us 1 month ago, or is it like 3-4 weeks ago, that he planted, his timing to plant actually was wrong. So he's wasted some seeds, he's wasted some fertilizer.
So the community actually tell people when to plant?
Back in the days now.
Okay.
In fact, those are some of the things that I'm actually preaching to people that, look, we also need a whole lot of research and investigation into our local technology itself. So that's just that one. So now, 2, the planting methods and the planting techniques and everything. A typical farmer will get 2 to 3 metric tons per hectare for maize. Typical local farmer and everything. But when you have things called precision agriculture and everything, it's believed you can actually get up to 8-9 metric tons. You can imagine.
Really? From that same
From
land?
that same land. And also, the farmers also, many, in as much as you say, okay, fertilizer is being distributed and everything, but people sometimes can't read all these things properly. People can't read it properly because it's in English and maybe they might. So, yeah, literacy also to be able to apply. I was actually going through the news about someone somewhere in Adamawa, a young guy, his family farm. He went to go and also apply pesticides and everything. But the dosage that he was using was so much that it killed him.
Wow.
So the thing is soil. So because the efficiency of everything of agriculture starts from the soil, the seeds, then the planting methods, the harvesting, then how you time it. Okay, the routes to market. Remember I mentioned earlier that there are places around this period of the year now it's not motorable because the water table is now high. This thing, so they have to be using boats. So there are several difficulties because even these farmers that, of course, they call high prices, I don't blame them because many of them, they go through a whole lot and they always put all this burden of all the costs they've incurred into what they have.
And then the end users have to not pay for all of that.
Not pay for that.
Let's talk about support for local agriculture.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mention the part of storage that you mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, so storage, people are actually, people are doing, there's been some effort so far.
Okay.
At least you have organizations like AFEX. My friend is a group CEO, Digibalogun. So they've gotten several investments for infrastructure, warehouses, and everything. Yes, but the need is large. They're even really focused on like 9 or 8, 9 commodities or 10 thereabouts, but the need is large. And there are several efforts there and there. But also, another thing you're looking at is the investment into agriculture. And when you look at some of all these things also, it's part of what we are even discussing with the banks, we're discussing with the financial sector on how they can have much more presence, much more inroads. You see them in cities like Lagos and everything, but by the time when you get to all those other communities and states, so there's agriculture. When people look at farming and agriculture, they think it's people there are poor. No. The reason why you feel that the farmer is poor is because he doesn't have access to finance. Agriculture is a very, very capital-intensive business.
Okay.
Very, very capital-intensive business.
Conclusively, looking to the future right now, what strategies should the government adopt to ensure that both food security and the prosperity of local farmers are maintained?
Well, probably maybe the necessary infrastructure that the government themselves can actually do. Much more efficient roads, much more efficient support, subsidize some of these things that makes, because it won't be done by government
Language
alone.
of subsidy again.
Yeah.
No, you see, well, the thing is this, in as much as that's government. That's what you expect from government. So, but infrastructure.
Because with that subsidy, sometimes when it says, I know yes, food crops, because of the essentiality
the subsidy
of it.
might not be but the infrastructure.
Okay.
The
Because so that
road.
it doesn't have a negative impact on the farmers and pricing, and then we go back to efficiency
Exactly.
and availability of this product and all of that. Yeah.
Basically, infrastructure, accessibility. Then, of course,
Okay.
it's government that can provide security.
Infrastructure. Okay.
Security. So once all those things are there, then the private sector can probably now be able to able to manage much more accountability within the whole thing. I think that's just that. Although there are other things, maybe extensions and everything. Because if you look back at what this person did back then, Awolowo, because back when I schooled in Ogun State, my secondary school, and so we used to have a whole lot of these books that we read in the library back then. And you could see all the farm settlements where the farmers typically stayed there. The schools were there for their children, the distance. So there was that direct interest and this thing.
Yeah.
So those were some of the things that were actually done back then. And we should just probably look at models that have worked for us.
Okay.
And adopt them. I think we should just roll our sleeves back.
get
Victor,
down to the
and get our hands dirty.
I'm ready for it.
You are ready, right?
No, that's another thing.
You have to remove these your blazers.
But don't underestimate the importance of large-scale agriculture. That's one thing, because everybody's everybody. But look, when you look at the countries that are feeding themselves very well, they are practicing large-scale agriculture. Large scale. At least you can see what these people are doing in the Niger State. Massive. So large-scale agriculture.
Wow, thank you so much, Segun Ogunlana. He is the founder of Ijebu Market, Agent Time, and Kanako. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much.